All right, shalom, shalom to the nation of Israel, shalom. All right, this is your brother Kazakia out of Great Millstone, New Orleans, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah, right? But prior to getting started, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, HaKadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, all right? And the title of today's lesson is going to be, It's All About the Spirit, man. All right, that's the title of today's lesson is, It's All About the Spirit, all right? So, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah, man, the Lord commands us to do what, man? He commands us to walk in the spirit, okay? Stay away from, basically our own desires, man, the lust of the world, the flesh, right? Okay? And in order to do that, we have to be in the spirit, okay? Now, we understand also we're not going to be in the spirit, 24/7, okay? We can't because of, basically, this flesh, man. We need our bodies to basically be perfected, okay? Like Yahweh Shai, right? And, in order to what? Sustain the spirit, man, and do things perfectly, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just kick it off with this scripture first. This is Romans 12 and verse 1. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh Shema Shai, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice. Okay, so how our bodies are presented a living sacrifice is by us doing what? This work, man. Doing the word, right? Actually, going out there, man. Being on the highways and hedges, right? And basically being on the forefront, so to speak, of this ministry, man. Where people could see your works, man. Okay, and it says, that you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy, okay, which is separate, man. You're separate from the world, man. Okay, the world has, its spirit, its functions, right? The things that it does, all right? And then the spirit has something totally different, all right? And it says, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service, right? So the Lord said, this is reasonable, for you to do, man. Okay? I believe it's Baruch 4 and 28. It says, as your minds were to basically go astray from Yahweh Shema Shai, seek him what? 10 times more, okay? And the Lord said it's reasonable for you to, go out there on the highways and hedges, preach the word of Yahweh Shema Shai, be persecuted, okay, for this word, all right? And some people, will have to, basically, even be unalived, I'll say that word, for this word, man, for the testimony, right? The scriptures talk about the testimony, men holding the testimony and, dying within that testimony, man. So that's also, possible, too as well, just something to look out for. But hey, man, look, at the end of the day, man, it's really all about the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, man. We got to transform ourselves, and renew ourselves, okay? And it's actually going to say that in the next verse. It says, and be not conformed to this world, right? Basically don't practice the fashions of this world, man. You see, we basically coming up on what? Christmas or Xmas, man. Where, millions of people, of our people, man, will be keeping, this holiday, man. But this ain't the holiday, man. This isn't the day to keep, man. Okay. This is a very, very, very wicked, holiday, man. I'll, say that, so to speak. Now the Lord gives you what, basically the Lord gives you, high holy days, which is something, totally different. Okay. In the spirit. Okay. But you can see how this devil likes to play games, man. Right. I think they call it like semantics. It was like kind of like play on words and stuff like that. Right. But it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, man. And how we're renewed in the mind, through the spirit, man. The spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, renews us, refreshes us daily, so that we can get this understanding, so that we could be holy, like what the scripture just said. Just basically just being separate, man. from everybody else in the world, right? The world has and does what it does, and we, do what we do, okay? According to the Spirit, it says that ye may prove, right? We got to prove ourselves worthy of Yahweh Shem Shah, worthy of what? To get the kingdom of heaven, worthy of the Lord, okay? It says, what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God, okay? So, by us doing these works, we're basically showing the Lord that, hey, we're, basically kind of asking, hey, look, can we basically join the team, man? Now, we know it's sanctioned from Yahweh Shem Al Shai, but the Lord that's just the way he has it planned out. He has us playing out what? The works, man. The working aspect, right? To make it acceptable for you to receive the kingdom, right? And let's go ahead and get another scripture, right? Because like I was saying, this ministry, okay, is very spiritual, man. Okay. This is Galatians 5 and verse 16. Okay. And it says, then I say, walk in the Spirit, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh, man. Okay. And what's contained, the Spirit, man. What has the Spirit? The words, man. The words of this book is Spirit, man. Right. The scriptures tell you that the Lord's word is a spirit and it's life, man. Life giving. Okay. And that's to, the people, right? The men that the Lord has chosen, the elect, the 1/3. Okay. In this time, to receive. All right. So walk in the Spirit, man. And it says you will what? Not fulfill the lust of the flesh. I'm going to read that same one in the GNT. It says, what I say is this: let the Spirit direct your lives, right? And it says, and you will not satisfy the desires of the human nature. Okay? So we got to be guided, right? Our course has to be set, right? Our walks, right? The journey, the path, let it all be done in the Spirit, man. Okay? And the Lord will do the rest. You'll be all right. Okay? All right. Let's go to this next precept. Let's do this one here. All right. This is... All right. Let's see where I want to start at there. I'll just start at the verse I got. This is 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 4. It says, for the weapons of our warfare, okay, are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh Bashem Al Shai to the pulling down of strongholds, man. Okay, so with this truth, right, with this word is a, what they call it in the world, what Esau has, a DIE, a direct energy, DEI, direct energy, DEW, that's what it is, Salakia. Direct energy weapon, that's what this word is, man. Right? The scriptures tell you that it just, this word could cut, flesh, right? It cuts to the spirit, man. Okay? It cuts to the core of the being, right? And when you get cut by this word, man, guess what? Basically sometimes you'll never, some people don't heal from that cut, from that wound, right? Right? They hear this word, right? They hear the truth of the word, okay? That the Israelites, right, the elect of the nation of Israel will receive the kingdom of heaven, and all you other nations are gonna get your, right? You all gonna go into slavery, man, according to the scriptures. Okay, you're going into oppression according to the scriptures, and there's no way out. Okay, don't even think about it, man. The scriptures tell you. Let me get this real quick on a side note. I think it's this one here. All right, this is Jeremiah 3 and verse 22. It says, return ye backsliding children, the Israelites, and I will heal your backslidings. Behold, we come unto thee, for thou art the Lord our power. Okay, and this is what it says, verse 23. It says, truly in vain is salvation hoped, right? Hoped for from the hills, right? And from the multitude of mountains, right? Going into basically governments, okay? Nations, all right? It says, truly in the Lord our God is the salvation of Israel. Like, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't know how you get around verses, like this. It says that the salvation will be for the nation of Israel. And it says that in vain, in vanity, it's salvation hopeful from the hills and from the multitude of mountains. It basically just goes into other nations, man. Okay? Other people. It's only for the Israelites. All right? But like I said, it's all about the spirit. That's men that what? They don't have the spirit. Okay? All right? The spirit, the spirit they once had basically left them. Okay? If they even had it then. All right? And now they basically going off, man. And we notice that anybody who comes up against the elders and apostles at Great Millstone all down, they all fall, man. I haven't been around that long, but I've been around just long enough to see a lot of people fall, man. They have alts with their brothers, right? They, which never gets healed, so to speak. Okay, they have a problem with the doctrine or the elders. The Lord just bugs them out. That's it. Ain't nothing else to even be said about it. And they just become a person to lose the spirit. All right. But let's continue on. All right. Let me see if this is the one I want to get. Let's get this other precept. Let me get this one. Salakia. Bear with me. All right, this is 1 John 2 and verse 15. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Okay, so like I said, the world gives you, so-called, holidays to celebrate. The Lord gives you high holy days to celebrate. No one does that, right? You ask them to name at least 5 within the scriptures, they can't do it. Or 3. We ain't even got to go to 5. We go to 3. Because they don't know the Lord, man, at the end of the day. But they want to do all the things that the world offer them, man. The desires of the world, right? Get money, right? Because the Lord said you can only, you basically only can have one master, man. You can't have 2 masters, right? You either gonna love the one or hate the other, okay? But the point is, everything that has to do with the scriptures pertains to the spirit, right? It pertains to what? The feeding of the spirit, right? So you're gonna be in a right place, right? If you stay within the scriptures, man. Okay? It says, neither the things that are in the world, right? And it says, if any man love the world, keep in mind, if any man love the world, the Lord's funny, man. They got a guy walking in. Never mind. Anyway, it says, if any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Okay? So the scriptures tell you and teach you that you're an enemy to the Lord, man. Okay? Matter of fact, I'm going to get that real quick. Believe it's in James, the 4th chapter. Okay, yeah, this is James 4 and verse 4. It says, ye adulterers and adulteresses, okay, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God. You see that? The friendship of the world is enmity with the Lord. It says, whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world, okay, be a friend of the world, is an enemy to the Lord. And that's what a lot of people are, man. Okay, they are friends of the world, man. They have a agreement, pact, bond, okay, a contract, so to speak. You know, they are at league with whatever the words you want to say these people are, okay. That's what they are, man. They're at league, right, with the world, okay, which is going off, which is completely going off, okay. Thus saith Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. Okay, and the fruits, right, of the man, right, or the person, the woman, is gonna be declared, man. It's gonna show them. It's gonna show you who they are, man. Okay, and there's no way around that either. Okay, so stay in the work, man. Stay in the spirit, right? Do the works of the Lord, which keeps you, retaining you, and renewing you, and refreshing you, okay, within the spirit. Right, because everything outside the guidelines of this, right, is basically, just profane, man. Okay, all the ways of the world are profane, right? Which basically just goes into it just being, I believe it means, being outside, right, outside the temple, right? We need to try to, stay within the temple, man. And within the temples, that's we have a hedge about us. We got protection, right? But let me get this. Matter of fact, I'm right here for the next scripture. Okay, it says, or jump down to verse 7. It says, Salakia. This is James 4:7. It says, submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, right? Resist the desires, the lust of the flesh. Okay, basically resistance of the world, because the devil is the prince, right, of this world, right? Now we have, Satan, Shaitan, right, which is the spiritual being that headlines and spearheads Esau, Edom, right, to do what? Okay, to basically, play the roles as being adversary. Okay, basically play the roles as being, the liar, okay, within the earth. It's very simple, okay? But it says, submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you, right? So resist the ways of the world, okay, right? And be one with Yahweh Shema Shai, okay? Be one with the Spirit, okay? But yeah, that's pretty much all I have through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. Hey, look, the title of today's lesson is, look, at the end of the day, it's all about the Spirit, man. Okay? It's all about the Spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay? Do your best, to stay within the Lord. And it's a battle, right? And, we fighting every single day, right? Every single day is something, and that's just the design, right, that the Lord has, right, for him, from him, okay? We gotta fight the flesh, right? The Lord fought the flesh, right? Wasn't he achieve the works of, being perfect, so to speak? All right. So hey, look, we to be like him. It tells you, the scriptures tell you, it says, be ye therefore perfect as my Father in heaven is perfect, man. Go ahead, man, and get out there, and strive for what, man? For perfection. All right. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have through the spirit and power. Yahweh Shema Shah, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying first and foremost to the hopeful elect. But prior to getting out of here, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Al-Hakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, all right? Kwam Yasha Allah, Ababa Ba, and Shalom.